Okay, the important question to answer today in this particular lesson is how to roast shallots. But beyond that a little bit, I'm going to cover a little bit of that being an onion, if you will, or within the onion family. I'm going to cover a little bit about roasting other onions also. But first we're going to cover the shallot. The shallot, which has been peeled and comes in a brown skin, is probably what one would call a concentrated onion. One of these shallots, like this, is the approximate equivalent to 2 to 3 medium-sized Spanish onions in terms of flavor that one can dispense throughout the food that one adds the shallot to. Now that is a lot of onion flavor in a small little onion, and that's what shallots are all about. Now, once you cook the shallot, it doesn't have that concentrated onion effect that one might expect from concentrated onion. And one might get fearful about onion breath and onion. That's not going to happen with the roasted shallot. And the roasted shallot is, although can be eaten by itself, very much like roasted garlic or tomato concasse, as a condiment, if you will, or a prepared food item that one normally marries with other dishes. The shallot is unique, and there's some tricks in making the roasted shallots that can also bring you to the plateau of making shallot sauce at the same time, almost. You can make a shallot au jus when you make the roasted shallots that you can use in the place of a sauce with different kinds of roasted grilled meats and fowl, etc. Okay? And I'm going to show you what that juice looks like when the shallots are done. But first, let's get the shallots roasted. Now, I got a saute pan right here that's warming up, and I'm going to brown the shallots in it. It's a very simple recipe, but one has to look closely at it, monitor it, check the shallots for doneness, make sure they get brown so they have some brown flavor, make sure you have the right amount of juice added to the dish throughout the cooking time and it doesn't get dehydrated on you, and then knowing when to take them out so they're not all falling apart, but they're still tender enough to eat as they are, okay? So there's a few little tricks to making them perfect and so that you can use them for everything successfully. Let's begin by putting a little bit of olive oil, and you can use whole butter. I'll tell you what, let's put a little whole butter in it. You can use olive oil or butter. Now if you use butter, it's going to brown a little faster because the butter, of course, browns faster than olive oil. Let's take a little piece of butter, put that in a dish. This is too hot. But it's not that hot. Once again, one would say, I burnt the butter. But the fact of the matter is I did not burn the butter, and I'm going to lower the temperature of the pan immediately by adding the shallots to it. And I'm just going to teach you a little lesson because of what I just did in this particular video to demonstrate the value of brown butter. Brown butter, which many recipes call for, which is what I had there, not burnt butter. Boom, there we go. We want to brown the shallots, we put them in brown butter. Now we're going to give it a little bit more butter. And just for fun, I'm going to put a pinch of olive oil in there. Now you see they're browning quick. And that brown butter is just going to give them that nice nutty, that nice nutty flavor that we're looking for. They're starting to brown, but they're not there yet. We want to get them a little brown on top of the stove before we put them in the oven. Now you could literally just put the shallots without browning them at all if you wanted to reduce like butter or oil or anything like that, and just pour the stock on unbrowned shallots, like we're about to put shallots on the stock on the brown shallots. You can put the stock on unbrowned shallots and just kind of poach them in the stock in the oven and still come out with something very, very tasty. But I generally would recommend that brown the flavor, which is what you're looking for. So tossing them a little bit and getting them brown. Now I'm going to add some salt, pepper, which are probably the two most important ingredients in the cooking world. Being careful, of course, not to put too much salt in anything that's going to have juice in it, which may later be reduced, for fear of it being too salty after it's reduced. And I have here some fresh thyme. This is what fresh thyme looks like. And you can buy this in normal supermarkets. And I have some of it here that I picked. Now, what does picked thyme mean? Picked thyme means that you take the little leaves off the stem. A little tiny bit of stem is not going to hurt you, so don't worry about that. And that's basically how that's picked. Let me do that again for you real quick in case you missed that. See, the beauty of the DVD is you get to back this up and look at it again if you did miss it, but I'll do it anyway, just to save you the trouble. Okay, there you go. Now, we're going to take the time, being careful not to burn the shallots while we're doing all this. They're starting to get a little browner than they were before, as you see. And let's chop the thyme that I just picked. And let me get that back over here for you. A little thyme. A little more thyme. I have enough on here now. We can put more or less. The great thing about this course is it teaches you how to cook. You can put a little time, a little more time. It's, you know, I don't want my members that participate in this series of learning to go out there and measure every single thing that they have to do, particularly in the savory food cooking. Some of the sweet confectionery stuff, I will demand that you measure things or they won't come out right. But in this case, a little bit of time, not so much time. All right, they're getting a little bit brown now. So Richard, if you can come in over here on the pan for a second. I have some brown veal juice here, and I'm going to add, they're brown enough for me. I'm going to add some brown veal juice to it like that. And you see how much juice I have there? There's a fair amount. That is the amount that I want to kind of maintain throughout the cooking process. I call these roasted, but only the tops are roasted. They're really kind of braised, half submerged in some juice. Now, if they're only a third submerged, it's not the end of the world. It's still going to come out perfect. Right? But I want a little more juice when I'm done because I want to show you how to take that juice and finish it and use it as a little sauce too. So we're going to pop this in the oven, just very much like the garlic, roasting the garlic, which is about 325, 350. But in this case, if you want to, you don't have to roast them that slow. You can roast them at 400, 375, 400. Okay, and we're going to let that roast for a while. Probably going to take about a half an hour. Remember, we're roasting them until they're tender enough to eat, and then we're going to pull them out. And I'll be back in a time-elapsed moment here, probably of about 20 minutes, 30 minutes. Okay, we'll be right back.